Hello, welcome back, and today we are going to color, well, not color, but shade the pirate Krawk drawing that I started the other day. So, we're going to open that back up and get started on our pirate Krawk again. So, in this video we'll be going over how I do my shading for the most part, and probably just adding color, not actually doing anything else beyond that, just to cover everything so it's not totally confusing. So, let's see here. We're gonna, well, I already made a layer, so you're gonna move your drawing layer to the top. I don't normally label my layers, but if that's your thing, then go for it. It's not really my thing, so I don't normally name them. So, we are just going to start filling in our drawing here, and I have hair everywhere on my shirt. Alright, so, get our drawing brush here so we can kind of fill this in quicker. And I'm just gonna fill it in. Nothing special to this. It's okay to be a little sloppy because you're going to pretty much paint over everything anyways, or in some cases clean it up at the end. I usually just do a little bit of cleanup at the end of my drawing, or my everything overall, not just the drawing. But just to give you an idea, it's not as important to stay in the lines. Honestly, it's more important to make sure they actually fill in everything, because this is going to be the base for your shading too. Just trying to get some of these smaller details in. Then I'll just use a big brush and fill it all in. Get in there. Just gotta do this arm and the tail. Alright, so I got most of it filled in, and I'm just going to take the big brush and kind of just go over and make sure I got all the gaps, because sometimes I push a little lighter and I accidentally have some funky lines in there. Now I am actually going to go through and clean some of these up because it was a little sloppy. Just a little. So otherwise I'll have to clean it up at the end, and sometimes that's kind of a pain. Sometimes. Alright, so that looks pretty good the way it is. Then we're just going to select our color layer, drag it down to the bottom, and copy it. So this little layer button right here, so I'll have a copy. And then you're going to lock the bottom layer and set this layer to multiply, and then you're going to lock this one too. Now see, it went a little bit darker. This is the shading layer, the darker layer. So to get the right colors, we're going to slide over here down to kind of like the middle area or lower, and then we're going to pick like a purple, like a magenta, in between a red and the purple. So you kind of want to have like a magenta kind of color, something like this. It really depends on what you're shading. Like for blacks and stuff, I'll usually go with some kind of blue as my base shading layer, just because I don't really color things true black. I'll end up picking like a gray, like a dark gray, so I can actually define the shading in it. Alright, and then after you change this to a darker color, you're going to unlock the layer. So this is our shading layer. Whoops. Alright, so this is our shading layer. And we're going to go to the eraser tool. And we're going to go to our really soft brush for the eraser tool. This one right here. I linked it in my brushes video. And this is one of my custom brushes. And what I do is I come up to this flow right here and I drag it all the way to 5. Or thereabouts. There. Alright. So we're going to do the shading. And basically what I do for my shading is it's called a subtractive method. So this layer already has all the color on it. And what we want to do is erase the highlights. So you want to erase the parts that are not in the shadows, pretty much. So that's how I do my shading. Now remember, this doesn't have to be perfect, because you're going to paint over this anyways. Basically what we're doing with this is we're adding this shading layer and doing all this coloring and stuff so that you have the right colors for when you're ready to actually color your drawing in with painting. So I know I gotta make this a little complicated, but it works. For me at least. You know, might work for you too. So gonna go to that eraser tool and start shading. Nothing to it, you just erase. And you'll see the layer from underneath is coming through. So I've been coloring like this for quite a long time now. So this is just how I've pretty much done my art for years now, is like a subtractive method. So this is just the way that I'm used to doing it. Obviously, there's many other ways to do your artwork, but I'm just so used to doing this now, and it's, in my opinion, it's just easier to do things this way. So I'm just erasing the shadows and revealing the color layer underneath. That's it. And this brush really makes it look nice and smooth. I love this brush. Honestly, at this point, I'm not entirely sure if I have any commentary, because this is pretty much it. You just do this over the whole drawing. So, I'm sorry I'm not talking too much. I just, really, it speaks for itself. I feel like I don't have to totally explain. So as you can see, this is what I have so far. We'll save. And I'll just finish this up. Finish up the shading. Alright, they don't have lines on their stomach. Just double checking with the website. Want to try and be as accurate as possible. Well, it's not a huge deal, but would rather be accurate. Getting there. As you can see, I'm like halfway done now. Still just doing some shading here. And that's what it looks like so far. Just have the tail. Oops, wrong brush. But might as well fix up the line a little bit there. Alright. And all we have left to do is the bandana. And then we'll be done with the base shading. And there you have it. There's the shading. Then I'll turn the layer on and off, and you can see. And after I am done with that, I make another layer over top of every layer. This is really important. And I hit overlay, and I lower the opacity down anywhere from 40 to 60% generally. And we're going to make it like a yellow. Basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of like washing out the line art, and I'm also blowing out the highlights with this, so it's kind of going to increase the intensity of the whole entire drawing. So as you can see, I'm like going over the line art, and it's kind of just brightening everything up, just softening everything. I've always done this. It's just like a habit of mine. It kind of like makes my work pop out more, in my opinion, because I'm using such high intense colors. So honestly, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You could just start painting right after you're done with the shading. This is just something that I personally do because I like keeping my work really bright and vibrant. really saturated, if you will. This is like my jam. Now when you do this, it's going to kind of really blow out like the colors in terms of accurate colors. So you're never really going to have accurate colors if you do this. I mean, you can eventually, but if you're just starting out trying this, you're not really going to get very accurate with the colors that you're looking for. Like if I eyedropper someone's reference sheet, it's not going to look anything like their character. So I usually go back in and just, you know, I'll paint over and add the right accurate colors if someone's really particular. Ta-da! I'll see about lowering that opacity a little more on the line art so I can really just focus on the colors. So here's where we're at right now. We're like halfway done at this point. That's pretty exciting, huh? So I guess at this point... So I guess at this point I can start doing the coloring. I guess I could. Yeah. So I'm actually going to make this into a mixed color Krawk, so it's not going to be exactly oops, stepping on the wrong things down there. So I'm going to make this look like my Krawk, and he's like a cross-painted Krawk. He's a camouflage Krawk with pirate Krawk clothing on. So I'm kind of gonna go for that angle. So really, at this point, you don't have to be 100%. I wouldn't say you would have to be 100% accurate with color. You're going to paint over a lot of this. But this is kind of just getting your colors out on the canvas so you can get the right colors when it's time to paint. Because anything that you put in here in terms of color, you're going to be selecting from those colors with the eyedropper tool. So you want to make sure that you got what you want in there. So right now I'm just kind of getting the base colors down that I want. camouflage one has pretty cool colors, so I'd love to implement that into my drawing. Since I had a lot of fun doing the, I drew the, was it the spotted loop the other day? Yeah. And that was pretty fun. I had like wild dog markings. So I got my two base colors down, and he's got a bunch of spots just all over the place. Let's see. Zoom in. There we go. That looks better. Now I can see what I'm doing. Except this dang thing is in the way. There we go. Oh no, it's still in the way. Can't make up my mind. Alright. So he's got some nice little dark spots everywhere. He's got spots everywhere. Which will make this fun to paint. Kind of. Fun as in a pain in the butt. Yeah, I might actually want to put that on a separate layer. Come to think of it. Unfortunately, that is going to not be a good idea. So, what we're going to do here is add a little colored palette on the side here so I don't lose these colors. There we go. Yeah, we're going to actually put that on a separate layer. That's not going to work out. I want to make sure that I can actually paint. So we're just going to paint over all that stuff and leave it the way it was. He's got like some... There we go. Alright. So we're actually going to add these on a separate layer. That looks better. It's a cute little Krawk. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the camouflage colors from Neopets, but I think they did a pretty good job with the Krawk one, because it doesn't look like, well, like camo, like, you know what I mean. Like, some of them just look like army camo, and it looks kind of really stupid. No offense to the army. I mean, they actually changed their camo. It's like a digital camo, but it looks like traditional camo. And I know it's called the camouflage brush or whatever, but when I think of like camouflage, I think of like animals, not army camouflage. So I thought it was kind of cool that some of the newer camouflage pets are actually based on natural patterns of animals instead of being, you know, those cheesy old army camouflage colors and stuff. It's like I said, no offense to camouflage patterns, but they just don't translate very well to pets, like characters in a game. It just looks really weird. Whereas the spotted kind of pattern, it actually looks really cool. I'm going to probably tone some of these back a little bit. Just because I don't want to go overboard here, I'm going to make him look like a giraffe. Just lighten up this stuff around the edges. And then all I have left is the tail. Alright, so we're done with the spots there. And now to color the rest. So he's got gray and white stripes. On his clothing. Oh, that might be too late. That's a little better. Like that. And then we'll choose a darker color for the bandana. And he's got a yellow and green eye. And a golden hook thingy. It's golden hook thingy. And then I'll do his bandana in the dark. Dark with light spots. Alright, all we gotta do is add a little bit of color into the mouth, and he is like ready to be colored. Well, painted. You know what I mean. Ha ha ha. Painted. Alright, so we will save that, and this is all we will be covering today in the video. My next video will be going over the whole entire painting process because I haven't even started painting yet. So, this is the end of the video, and thank you so much for sticking around and watching.